we live? Is the counter counting? Yes. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Always Workin Squatch number 5. This is in terms of drawing, week 14. It's kind of, we're going to have some people on. I see one waiting already. And then there's probably going to be a couple others later, but I'm going to do a little housekeeping before I start letting people in, just to update you on the basics. Let's see. So starting page 14 today, I've actually already started on it. I'm getting a slightly earlier start today because I have a hair appointment. Does that sound weird for a man to say that? I have a hair appointment. I'm getting this chopped, not entirely. It's not going to be like a short. I haven't decided actually fully what I'm going to do, which is I'm sure exactly what the lady wants to hear when you show up. And she's like, what did you have in mind? It's like, I don't know. But I'm thinking I want it long enough to still tie up to make neat, but just long enough to do that. So that's probably like, I don't know, 5 or 6 inches I could probably lose. So that's happening. Squatch, don't make me ban you. I will ban your ass. Flat out. Just banned. No regrets. I won't even think about it. Just boom. Ban hammer. Brought down on your forehead. Right between the eyes. It'll be like Negan's bat. That's what it's going to be like. What else? So anyway, yeah, so this is not going to go any longer than... It's not jazzercise. I swear those weights aren't jazzercise. You're making me lose my train of thought. See, this is how I end up not working with your bullshit. So let's see here. Not going to go any longer than maybe 90 minutes. So I'll be watching the clock. 12:30 is my hard stop time. If it looks like I can maybe be a little earlier, I might, but 12:30 is like as late as I can go, and then I need to get going. I just recently placed a reorder, finally, for, you'll recognize these, D vs. M 1975, D vs. M 1997. And wow, Comics Wellspring was on top of it. Supposedly I'm going to get them Wednesday. So they'll be available in the store, and I'm going to be taking whatever I don't sell right away to Phoenix Fan Fusion with me, which is in like actually 2 weeks from today. So if you think you're interested, if you think you want to get copies of the books with the traditional, the non-pulp versions, you better tip me off so I can set one aside for you. Because I don't know. I don't know how much. I haven't done a reorder in a while. I don't know how much pent-up demand there is. And I don't know how my day at Fan Fusion will go. You never know with a con. I could sell 2 copies. I could sell out. So if you think you're interested, better to get to me before I go to the convention to make sure you get yourself a copy. And I think that's it. Now I'm going to go back to working on page 14 and let in our first guest today. Let's see here. How's it going, man?
Hey, what's up?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm all right. I'm working.
Look at you, the early hours for you.
Oh, I'm already up. I've been up since I can't remember when.
Oh, really? What is your schedule like these days?
Well, since I work 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. on my work days, I pretty much try to keep that same schedule.
Yeah.
That and I gotta take so many pills a day, so I try to keep up with that.
Yeah. So what's new with you while I kind of tinker with my dialogue here? And first of all, I'm so close to banning this guy. Look at this guy. Who does he think he is? Like this, just unbelievable. We'll go back to a good commenter, Chase. That's not a bad commenter.
I'm working on episode 4 for Eventual Heart.
Cool. So do you have an ETA?
Not at the moment, but hopefully I should be done like roughly in a month or so.
Okay.
So
cool.
Give or take.
Yeah.
How the week goes.
What we got here? Any advice on good lettering, fonts, and programs? Cut corners and move for them. Okay, well, I use Illustrator. To me, Adobe Illustrator is just a good, safe. If we're talking about lettering, I think Illustrator is probably like the easiest way to go. In terms of fonts, that becomes harder to recommend. I use D versus M uses for the dialogue, most of the dialogue, Canted Comic. That's the font. I think it's a free one. You can find lots and lots of free options on, I usually go to Dafont. It's DAFONT.com. They have 80 gazillion fonts. They have a tester too, so you can type in some sample text and see how it looks. That's what I would suggest. I don't know if anybody else has a suggestion, or maybe our second guest today has a suggestion. Hey, how you doing, man?
Hey, I gotta line my camera up here.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. Okay.
You're the making comics guru.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking to Ronnie.
No.
No.
So, you have, for those unfamiliar, Scott has about 800 videos on how to make comics on his channel. You can go.
Technically, it's probably about 1,000, but
it's right. Well, yeah. There you go.
Hold on, let me close this door because that light's pretty bright.
Okay, cool. Chase was asking advice on good lettering fonts and also programs. I said I use Illustrator. I like Illustrator, and I named the font I use for D versus M, but maybe you have more thoughts on that. So.
Yeah, I use Illustrator. The one I use for Young and the Dead is a Comic Craft font called. I can't see if I can pronounce it. So it's based on monologues. I think it's like monologus or something like that. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but so that's the one I use for Young and the Dead. But I've created some of my own fonts, which I don't want to change font mid concept or whatever. But otherwise, I probably use. I've got one that I created. I'm trying to remember what I think it's called, Pool Box. That I kind of like, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've got a few different fonts, but just I mean, I don't know if Chase, do you know about the sale that Comic Craft has every year on the 1st? They have a massive sale where it's whatever the current year is, that's how much they charge. So next year it'll be $23. And then you can kind of stock up on fonts. That's always a good thing to do that. Yeah, I don't know. What font do you use, Gary? Did you say?
Canted Comic, which I'm pretty sure I pulled off of Dafont.com.
Okay. And it's actually pretty good off of Dafont.
What's that?
It's actually a good font.
I like it. Yeah, I was looking just for something kind of traditional comic book looking.
It must be because it didn't stand out in reading your book. It didn't stand out like, oh, this is.
Yeah, I wanted something. I didn't. Yeah, and it's funny. Gosh, I hadn't thought about this in years. When I started D versus 75, the planning of it, I was confronted with having to choose like fonts. And trying to figure out like, well, what do I want it to look like? And I played with the idea, and I think Sandman does this. Like, what if I had a different font for every character? Like, to kind of somehow suggest their voice or something. And I did a quick poll with friends, like, what would you think about that? And some people were interested in that, but most people were like, that sounds irritating. So
yeah, Yeah, I don't mind it if it's like if there's one character that for especially like if you got a robot, you want to do sort of a robotic.
Yeah, something really.
But every single character, no, that does. I mean, that sounds like something people were going crazy with.
You get tired of. Yeah, and like and it's cool. Like when you see a Thor comic and it's all kind of ornate, you can tell he's talking in some kind of weird.
Yeah.
You know, like then it kind of works. Or yeah, like you said, a robot. I think in 75, actually, now I'm going to check. I think the little kid, Blake, I'm going to confirm this. Yeah, Blake has a more like childlike font for his dialogue. I did that because I wanted, his to sound a little shakier and childish. But generally, it's pretty much Canton comic all the way. And again, because it was inoffensive, it looks like a comic book font. It doesn't stand out in one way or another. And that's kind of what I wanted. But
yeah, depending on what Chase wants to do. I mean, the cool trick that I really like that might look good with his comic, if it's something he wants to do, is where you find a font and then you'll basically if you're, I assume he's doing traditional or whatever, but you can kind of do this sort of a hybrid method too, but basically you have a font and then you go over it so it looks more hand done.
Yeah.
And you can even do that digitally. You can get a font and then go over it digitally, and it'll still, you can speed up some time, but it'll still, each character won't look the same.
Right.
And then some fonts have it where like, if you have a word that has two S's next to each other, maybe there's an alternate that looks a little different. So they
I have a few like that.
Yeah.
I love it. It varies. Yeah, like there's maybe 4 different versions of every letter to kind of mix it up. Yeah, that's cool. Makes it look a little more. Actually, some of my handwriting fonts, which I use in some of in the comics, sometimes I'll have marked up leaked classified documents. And sometimes I'll just have people, so it's not my handwriting. I'll have someone, can you just write something for me? Like write some weird like classified speak, and then I'm going to scan it in and, put in the document. But other times I'll use a handwriting font that has variation like that. So you can't really tell it's a font.
For the newspaper articles like you done.
Yeah. Anytime I have like handwriting on a leaked document or a newspaper clipping or whatever, I'll either find someone to write it again, so it's not my handwriting, or I've got a couple go-to fonts I use that look very convincing. So let's see here. The sound effects, I might go for a pure Japanese kanji across the panel instead of the cliche onomatopoeia. I think for your book, that sounds perfect. Like that's a neat idea because people would probably be able to intuit what the sound is, even if they can't read it.
Yeah.
Just based on the picture. Mm-hmm. Now, onomatopoeias, I will typically hand do, with some exceptions. Like I think like gunfire in 97, I think I picked a font for that and I just varied it. Like I would sort of mess it up. I would do it in Illustrator. I would lay it out, but then I would like go in and screw with it to kind of add some personality to it.
Yeah, you talked about that in your last video. How like if something was more man-made, you try to draw it, but if it was more mechanical, you try to leave it alone.
Yeah. And there's like a weird logic where like depending on what the sound is, that'll dictate what I think it should look like. So I think when you have, I'm trying to think of examples. When you have like a dinosaur doing something, for example, that's going to me, look different than if you have an alien dropping a ray gun or something, that, I don't know. It's just the way I think of it. Those should look different. But.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
This is a weird experience I had this week, and I haven't figured out how to talk about it. Maybe you guys have had something similar. Scott, especially you, where you have this mountain of work you've done over the years. So I was doing my reprints, putting those orders in, and so that was my opportunity to go through these and see if there's anything I wanted to tweak. Like, not like I didn't want to do like full George Lucas special edition, but like, is there anything like, do I need to nudge anything like text away from an edge, or do I want to update the back cover? And like, one thing I did do, I can tell people, this is the back of 75. There's a slightly, it's hard to see, but there's a slightly older logo down here.
Yeah.
And then the back of 97, I did like a red kind of border for the parental warning, and I updated this logo down here. So for the reprint, I took this styling and applied it to 75 so they're consistent. There's little tweaks like that. Nothing major, nothing like, I didn't redraw any panels or rewrite any dialogue, but just little tweaks. And while I was doing it, it was like the first time I flipped through these in forever. Like, it felt like, you know, it was almost like seeing them for the first time. And this is, again, weird. I don't know if this makes sense. I was 97 in particular. I was going through 97 and I felt, I don't know what words I want to use, sort of overwhelmed by how much work I did, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like, I almost was stressed out looking at it, thinking like, how did I do that? You know, like, how did I do all that drawing? How did I do all that writing? Like, it didn't make me feel good. It wasn't like, this isn't like a weird humble brag. Like, it's like, oh, this thing I accomplished. I was sort of like, oh God, like, you know, like, this is too much. What did I do to myself? And I'm doing it again right now. And like, how did, like, and I had to kind of bring my brain back to like, just do a page a week, one foot in front of the other. Don't think about it. Don't think about how long the journey is. I think that's what it was. Now talking it out with you guys, I think I saw like the journey in 97 and realized like, oh God, these are a lot of work. And my head is usually just on next page, you know, because that's the only way to do it and not lose your mind. I don't know. Have you guys ever have you guys ever looked at what's ahead of you and felt a little chill in the pit of your stomach? I'm like, oh no, what have I done?
Yeah, I'm thinking about that right now, just because, I mean, I only have one more issue to go, and it's going to be a little bit larger than the past issues, and it's still like, I want to get started, but it's also like, and you know, it's just an issue. I mean, if I was like a Marvel or DC guy or one of these guys, I'd be doing that every month, but it's still, you know, just the amount of time I had to put in the comics. It's just like, it just seems like a huge task, but I'm also like, I want to get it out so I can just say I've completed the story and like, you know, and move on to something else. So, but yeah, I actually just got I ordered some advanced copies of the new book just to look at it, and it looked great and everything. Going back to what you were saying earlier with changing the logos, because I started that comic so long ago that I still have the old Circworks logo on it.
Yeah.
I thought about, well, updating it, but then I was like, no, I probably should just keep it consistent. But then I'm gonna get some variants done. I was gonna talk to you, but then I know Squatchy would get pissed if you actually did a commission. Or something.
Are you gonna distract me from my work and Squatch will have to?
No, honestly, I would like to
send you Anthrax.
But anyway, so I'm going to have some variant covers done, and with those, I'll probably put that, because they're just kind of separate. Those I'd like to play a little, because if I was to redo it over again, I would do some different things with the graphic design and everything.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So.
Yeah, I had talked to you, at least you, Scott. I don't remember if I brought it up with you, Ronnie. Like, I had talked about, when I do a reprint, I think I'm going to do a whole new cover design. And I ended up not doing that just for like lack of time. You know, like, I'm in the middle of drawing a new comic. And to like sit and really decide like, this is the new look of D versus M going forward, like for covers, I just couldn't, it was too much. So that's why I settled for just like a kind of a spit polish of what I already had. But I can imagine someday circling back, and I feel like there's a better, I don't know about better, a cover style and design that I would be more happy with out there somewhere. I haven't come up with it yet, but there's something. I want I think I have like an idea what I want it to look like, but I haven't gone through the iterative process of finding it and being happy with it. So
Yeah, I don't know. It's also weird, you know, from an outsider perspective, because I really think your design is really cool and interesting, and something that I think kind of stands out, would stand out on the shelf and everything. And then
For sure.
you did get sort of a chance to do something a little different when you did sort of the pulpy cover too. So
yeah, which I really do love. I already have the design for. I mean, 79 is not even halfway done, and I already know what the pulp. Because I'm thinking ahead, even though I'm only doing a 1-day appearance on for Phoenix Fan Fusion this year, I am going to put in for a table for next year.
okay,
Because next
cool.
year I'll have 3 books. 79 will be done. And 79 will have been out for a little while. I think it will be time to maybe do a pulp edition of 79, which I always do with each one. So like I'm already thinking about like what
year was the first one again?
75.
Are you going to do a pulp for that?
I already did. It's gone. That was the one.
Oh.
I think you've seen it. It was the one with the woman in the towel.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah,
I guess.
Oh, yeah.
I guess I remember you doing that, and I think I'm sure I have it.
You probably do. Yeah.
Yeah, I know I have it, but I was thinking. I guess I was just the second one you did. You sort of went with more of like a painted type look and everything. So.
And I was thinking, like, would I do that painted? I like how it turned out, like the painted look, and it looks more vintage. It looks more like those old, like basically like the Gold Key and the EC books and stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it was so much work. Like I was not my comfort zone. So like I don't know what my.
Yeah, I would never attempt to do that myself. I just don't think I could pull it off.
It really stressed me out because, especially, you know, all of us. We've gotten competent at doing what we're doing, you know, and like that's comforting. It's comforting to be able to sit down and know, like, I can do this. I've done this 1,000 times. And it's not often you sit down and you do something that you're not used to doing and feel that frustration and that disappointment with how it's coming. And, you know, it's just, like there was like a couple weeks there where I was like, I just fucking hate this. Like this, like I hate every minute of this. And it's like getting there, you can see little by little. And I was telling everybody, like, it'll get there. It'll eventually be right. But I'm having to fight for every inch. Like, this is just horrible. Like, I'm not good at this. And so now I'm torn, but I liked the end result. So like for the next one, and I have months, you know, this will be next year, I'll be thinking about this. Do I do that again and think like, well, I learned a little bit from that first time and maybe it'll go a little more smoothly? Or do I pick something that's more in my comfort zone? And I don't know.
I did a while back when these were a thing. I took out and added one of the illustration, workbooks. It was a special one just for the kids market, and it was a couple grand. It was like one of those things. And then so I'm like, okay, I'm going to showcase everything I can do. And then so I basically had this just giant crowd scene of all these different characters and kind of, for the most part, various styles. But the one that to me sticks out like a sore thumb is the one that I try to do more of a painterly effect, and it just sticks out as like, oh, that it doesn't look great compared to the rest of stuff.
It's a real.
I'm not a painter,
Yeah.
And I don't really want to get work doing that kind of stuff either, so I shouldn't have even put that in there.
Well, that's the thing. Sometimes that's what they always tell you. Don't put anything in your portfolio if you don't want those jobs, But that was. I don't know. Part of me feels like, well, I should do it again because it's a weak area for me, and it wouldn't be bad to get better at that. But boy. It fried me. But again, happy with the result. To me, it looks like an old comic cover. Like it looks right. So.
Oh yeah, it looks great.
Like I love the pulp edition for 75, like the kind of pin-up-y one. But I have to admit, to me, it doesn't look retro. Like to me, it looks very Frank Cho, which is great. I love Frank Cho, and like that's not terrible. But like it doesn't look like a period retro comic. It looks like it's got that idea where it's like, oh, let's throw a little bit of TNA and a little bit of like, you know, like that, like that's very appropriate, but the look of it isn't right. I don't know. Yeah. And see, now as I'm talking about this, it's like I probably will have to digitally paint it again. But I'm not excited. I'm not excited at all. Frank Cho. Oh, you know, Frank, I do love Frank Cho. As a matter of fact, I can show, I got a belated birthday gift from a very generous and kind friend. I won't be able to show this off.
I could definitely say being my first. Oh, go ahead.
It's not safe for work, but he got me a signed copy of The Book of Outrage by Frank Cho. If you're unfamiliar,
nice.
Frank Cho is an inker, a comic artist. He loves the curvy female body, and he draws a lot of that stuff. And like, you know, there's a lot of pushback from different areas in that now. And like, I think he enjoys just sort of whacking the hornet's nest, and like he likes doing these drawings that he knows that people are going to be unhappy about. But anyway, it's a collection of them. It's pretty cool. But anyway, I couldn't believe he got me that. So it was pretty nice. He knew I was a fan.
I was going to say for this being my like really big first comic book that's going to be published. Yeah, I'm looking forward to being it done. And there are some days I'm like, I don't want to work on this, not just because I don't want to work on it, but we all know why with that, you know, just your health has to come first.
Right. I did take, Squatch, I don't want to trigger you. I did take a day off this week. It's fine. I got my page done. I worked ahead to make sure I could do that, but I did take a day off. I went and saw, mostly for like, you know, I don't have the physical challenges that you have to deal with, but like I just needed a mental health day. Like I just felt like I'd been on a hamster wheel for 14 weeks or something and was feeling a little fried. Took a day off, made a point of like, I'm not going to screw around with the comic today. Like I'm not, and I took like PTO. I took my day job off too. It's like, I need to, Squatch is losing his mind. What? But went and saw The Northman.
Cool.
Movie by, I think it's David Eggers, the guy who did The Witch and The Lighthouse, which was really good. Kind of exhausting. It's the big takeaway I have from that movie is it would have been effing horrible to live then. It's funny, like any part of that society that's depicted in that movie, none of it looks good. No matter who you are there, it just sucks. Like it just looks terrible, terrible, terrible. And they're not even showing like, and if you're lucky, maybe you'll die from a toothache. Like, you know, just, it's like, no, you know, it was a nightmare, but really entertaining and really absorbing.
Yeah, that's on my list. I think tonight we're going to go see the Doctor Strange.
Yeah, that's on my list.
I saw, I'm trying to remember the name. How was it? Anything, Everything, All at Once, or something like that.
Yeah, everyone's saying that's amazing.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I gotta see that. I've heard too many people say like, oh, that was the coolest movie they've seen in forever. I'm kind of. Do we have a cultural explanation for this explosion of multiverse movies, like, and themes? Like, why is this the new hip hot?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Marvel's kind of been building up on that for a while. So, I mean, I guess, you know.
Now DC's doing it. Now now it's not even comic movies. Like, just this idea.
Yeah, with TV shows.
TV shows, yeah. It's like, and I'm not, you know, I don't know. It's all, like with everything, it's all execution. But I have concerns. I feel like it removes stakes.
Oh yeah. Oh, it definitely does.
Like it's like, well, like, because now, I mean, perfect example. This is, I think we're past the spoiler period for the last the Infinity War movie.
I hope so.
I hope so. But like Gamora dies. Oh, but there's another Gamora. You know, and like that's exactly the kind of thing. It's like, this is why I'm not like, I have concerns. You know, like that there's no real stakes.
Like, yeah, that's kind of my beef with a lot of people that get so upset when they change things in comics, and it's like, okay, wait a year, it'll be back to the way it was when you liked it.
Yeah, it'll all reset.
Don't freak out. If I do not read a comic before, and have you? I mean, if you just started reading comics now, do you not know that this is just a way to get people on board for a new character or something like that? Then you're going to bring it back to the original character. Then you're going to have both characters, and you can choose which one you want. And it's like, but
perfect example, the death of Superman.
Yeah, I was
there's so many. Yeah,
like we all experienced the death of Superman. And like, how long was he dead? 6 months or something? I don't know. It was like nothing. You know, it's yeah. Well, and this is true. You know, like what Scott was saying, and now like that's always the problem with comics. Nothing permanent. 100%. But I feel like now with this multiverse stuff, like now there's even more like carte blanche. And then, you know, now it's in movies, you know. I mean, I was always sort of, you never saw it as much in movies because basically the movie version of that was like, well, you have Michael Keaton for a few years, and then you have, you know, Christian Bale, and now you have Robert Pattinson.
Well, yeah, and now it's like, oh, you take all of these things and make it like that all in the same universe, and then that's kind of, I mean, I enjoyed Spider-Man, but I just felt the recent Spider-Man, but I kind of felt a little bit like, do we have to connect everything? I mean,
right. Yeah. That recent Spider-Man really was like, okay. And for the record, I loved No Way Home. I thought it was really good, but it was super fan servicey. And like this like this multiverse thing, it's like, I don't know. And like now, okay, so Squatch, let's see here. Let's go more from the past, not a different universe. I guess, sort of. But see, that's almost more of a problem. Because now we're doing the time travel thing where it's like, well, let's go get young Black Widow. You know, let's go get young Robert Downey Jr. Like, where's Tony Stark? Let's get Tony Stark from a year ago before he like annihilated himself by doing the snap. Like, it's, you know, it opens up this thing where it's like, well, I guess, does any of this really matter? It looks like there's always some kind of a weird loophole, that's comics, that's comic stories.
Yeah, DC does it pretty, like, a lot, especially with Supergirl and Power Girl, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm enjoying these movies. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying like, oh, it's all crap and they're, you know, like, no, they're fun. I just worry, like, where is this going? Like, I'm kind of hoping, we'll see if it happens, when they finally work around to the culmination of whatever phase Marvel is in right now. Is it 4 or 5? I don't even know. When you get to the next big Avengers movie, it will be shutting down all the multiverses, like closing all those paths. Like, it's like, you know, maybe I'm hoping maybe with like Loki and now Doctor Strange and No Way Home and like and probably Ant-Man sounds like it's going to do that. Like, the whole point of this phase will be like the multiverse is fraying all over and creating a headache, and maybe the victory in this one will be like, we shut that down. You know, like, now we don't have to worry about that anymore.
See,
that's kind of what I'm hoping. But
I don't want to spoil people who like watch these shows, but it's been out for a while. Just because, you know, I try to find time to spend time with the family by watching, you know, TV. And the CW DC shows, you know, you had Flash of Earth 1, Supergirl of Earth 3, and then they had the Anti-Monitor, like, big crossover where all these different superheroes were from different Earths, and then they finally made it into Earth Prime, where all these different heroes had to not just travel different Earths, now they're all together in different cities. So you know, maybe they'll do it with Marvel as well. We'll see.
Maybe. I'm wondering, like, there's some of this that there could be good applications. Like if they're doing this multiverse thing because it's a way to somehow get the X-Men into this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You know, like I get, or like, you know, like the Fantastic Four, like, you know, if this is a way to pull them in and like, all right, you know, like if that's somehow, because there's this question, especially with the mutants, this is really getting into comic geekery here, but like, you know, like where are all the mutants? Like, have they been just laying low this whole time? You know, like which is kind of silly, you know, or like, are you going to somehow introduce them? And it's like the only way you're going to do that probably is the multiverse stuff. I thought for sure it's like, oh, when they unsnap everybody, like, you know, Banner isn't a god like Thanos, so he screwed it up. So everyone's like, some people are going to come back mutated, like people who were snapped, you know, like that would be maybe a way to go. And it doesn't seem like they're doing that. So I don't know. I don't know how they intend to like start introducing all these characters that they're in pre-production. Like there's a mutant movie in the works. There's a Fantastic Four movie in the works. But
yeah.
They do a good job. I mean, of course
they do.
They pretty much have now with multiverse or quantum realm or all these. They can pretty much do what they want. So yes, there's very few stakes involved, but they also have so many options. It's just like, well, I'm sure they'll figure out a way to it. They have so many kind of.
For sure. They probably already have figured it out.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure they're working toward whatever they think they're like the way to do it is. Yeah, and I guess that's the thing. Like that sort of at the end of the day, that's the thing with the multiverse stuff. It's good and bad. It's good in that you're basically giving your writers like free reign. Like now they can kind of do anything and wave it away as like, oh, the multiverse, man. I'm like, yeah, you know, like that's how it works. And it's like, okay. But then the downside is, yeah, you know, there are 18 Tony Starks out there. And one dies, but we got 17 more. It's fine. You know.
Yeah, I mean,
we got Tony Stark back in the storeroom. Hold on, let me go get another one. But.
Yeah, the only I guess stakes there sort of are. It's just a matter of catch up, but it's like if a character, if it's from another world, it's the same person, but they don't know that world, so it's like, who are these people? You know, I don't know you anymore. So it's like, I think that happened in Spider-Man, where it's like, we don't know each other, so any relationships you built. So there's something there, I guess, but it's still, you know, it's like, I guess maybe from their perspective, it's a way of, okay, yeah, there's a little bit of stakes here, but you still get your character back, you know.
Right. Yeah, there's still, if you like whoever, Spider-Man or whoever.
Well, it's like before Spider-Man and the this new Doctor Strange movie, you had the What If series on Disney.
Yeah. Which
was that's a little different. I like that because that's not, and they'll probably figure a way to tie that all into this one timeline or whatever. But I like that because it's just like an alternate reality. And I was always a big fan. I mean, I was never huge into the whole idea of continuity. You know, I mean, I'm perfectly fine with this Spider-Man story. Maybe Captain America is introducing the Spider-Man story, but has nothing to do with the Captain America story. You know, that's not how they do it, but I would be totally fine with that. Like each title has its own thing. You can bring in different characters, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a whole universe. I don't have a problem with that, but that's not really how comics work. But
I did, What If didn't work for me for some reason, and I think it's just for the like. Some of them I really enjoyed, but I think overall but I think part of it was like, I don't know if I loved the art style. I don't know what it was. I don't know. I don't know why it didn't click with me. It was fine, but I did, as much as I thought No Way Home was kind of fan servicey and like just kind of like a Spider-Man greatest hits movie. That ending was incredible. Like I really was blown away and admired by like how kind of sad that ending was. And I don't know if we're out of the spoiler zone for No Way Home yet, so I won't say it. But like the ending was like I that was the one piece of like writing in that whole movie where I was like, wow, like I can't believe they did that. You know, that was pretty cool. Everything else was like, okay. And I loved it. And Willem Dafoe is a national treasure. And like, I loved seeing all the Spider-Man.
Did
like,
his own stunts.
Yeah, did his own stunts. And he's not a young guy. He's like approaching 70 or something. So. Let's see here. I enjoy the end of unrelated stories. It is kind of cool to see those one-offs and what if. I've heard lots of people are pleased with primarily because Sam. Yeah, there is definitely a lot of enthusiasm to see Sam Raimi directing again, which I always try to bring it up because I feel like a lot of people haven't seen it. A great Sam Raimi movie that I feel like nobody saw was, I think, Drag Me to Hell. Is that what it was called?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So good. That's like classic. That's like, to me, the best version of like Evil Dead Sam Raimi, but with like a big budget. And everything he's learned. Like, it's really well done. The effects are great. It's very clean and polished. It's a good script. But it's also like just balls to the wall, insane Sam Raimi nonsense where it's like stupid violence and gross out things, and it's funny and it's pretty great. It's worth checking out.
And interesting that he was able to get that kind of gory stuff, but with there really not that much blood in it. It's just all like sinew and stuff, like it's just
kind of almost cartoony, it's a good. Yeah, I don't even think I would, compared to some, I'm assuming it's R-rated. I don't even know.
I think it might be PG-13.
Might be PG-13. And like, I was just about to say, like, I would feel comfortable showing a kid that. Like, I mean, not a little kid, but like, 11-year-old or something. It's like, this isn't too over the top. It's
no,
more
I definitely agree. I would rather show a kid this than like any Saw or Hostel movie.
Oh, no way. Yeah. There's some adults I wouldn't show Saw.
And Saw and Hostel, I just don't like movies like that just because it takes out of it. And I know there are fans out there, but I hate Human Centipede. Just in it right there.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, it's a whole different, it's a genre I just don't even, I don't respond to. And I'm not, like, I like dark movies, but like, to me, that's not even dark. It's just like, let's just write the craziest nightmarish stuff you can think up. And it's like, I don't know. To me, it's like the equivalent. Like, I like spicy food. And every time I say, like, I like spicy food, there's some guy in the room who wants to stand up and say, like, I like to taste my food. It's like, okay, whatever, man. Cool story, bro. But like,
I like to put hot sauce on my pizza. I'm just saying.
Yeah, there we go. But like, to me, it's like, I guess I'm sort of that guy when it comes to movies like Saw, where it's like, I like a story with my gore. Like, I don't want just like carnage. Like, that's not interesting to me. I want something like, I can't even be bothered with Hostel. I adore Silence of the Lambs. I adore Seven. Like, those like movies that's like, no, I'm totally down for that. But I didn't see Tusk. I've heard about it.
Oh yeah, I've seen Tusk. That's a weird movie right there, but
I've heard it's weird, but I don't know anything about it. And to go back to the Northman is pretty gruesome at parts. But it makes sense. I mean, it's, Vikings swinging swords around, bad things will happen.
It's necessary gore.
Yeah, it fits, and there's a whole story there. But it's not just like torture porn or whatever.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, whatever that stuff is. I don't know. I shouldn't dismiss it. I know a lot of people are into that, but you're weird and therapy is available. That's all I have to say. I'm sorry. Okay. Gary hasn't worked the whole time. You know what? This actually,
that's
wrong, Squatch. I have to admit, you're right this time. So I'm gonna continue setting up my page. So what are your guys' plans today, one by one? What is all right? Who's drawing today?
I'm drawing.
Oh, I took a little break, but I've been coloring the pages, and so
cool.
Yeah, I'm working on some sketch covers just to bring with me to the convention and kind of show what I can do as far as sketch covers. So this is a kick-ass hit girl that I'm working on inking. I don't know if you can see that. I'll color that in.
Hold on.
And then let's see this one. It's kind of slim pickings. I wanted to get some sketch covers, and I was looking for like Star Wars and stuff that I really like to draw, and I couldn't find any Star Wars or there's a. Let me take that out. Power Rangers one that I'm gonna add some color to this guy.
Very cool.
And then what else did I got? I got a Batman one that's kind of got a blue cover. I haven't started it yet, but it should be fun to do. This Detective Comics, we'll do that one. And this this just came out. Twig. It's a new Scotty Young. He doesn't do the art, but the artist on this is fantastic, and it's almost like a Jim Henson. I know it's not super exciting because it's a blank sketch cover, but I think I'm going to start collecting this book, and so I'm going to do that. And what else? So I got a Firefly that I'm going to do a sketch on. So
wow, you're coming. So you're going to be at the Surprise Comics booth, right?
Yeah. And I'm thinking I'm definitely going to raise my prices on sketch covers and stuff, just because I want to be able to do other stuff on there, and I just don't want to be sitting there all day. And if I don't charge enough, then it's like, then I'll get too many commissions, and then it's like, oh, I got to take stuff home to work on, and that's not my goal. I mean, just the fact that I don't have to pay for a table. If I make nothing there, I'm fine. If no one commissions me to do anything, I'm fine. I'll just sit there and draw and my own stuff or whatever. So, and then because I want to, I never really had an opportunity to kind of go and like, anytime I went around and like, because I would go to your booth and stuff like that and talk a little bit, but then I go, okay, I got to go and got to get back to my booth and all that, and not have to worry about that anymore. So, yeah.
This is, I have to admit, this is the first Comic-Con in a long time I'm actually sort of mildly excited about. And it's because it's low effort, like I'll be showing up, I'll be sitting with a couple buddies. It's one day, which to me is like just right.
Where are you going to be? What booth are you going to be at? Who are you going to be?
I'll be with Scott Lost and Keith Foster. I think it's under, when I looked at the directory, it's under Keith's comic, which is Kadoja.
Oh yeah. I got the first issue. It must have been Keith that I met. It was a while back when he only had the first issue.
Yeah.
And then so I definitely I saw that he was there. I'm gonna catch up on all of those because I love kaiju stuff and everything. It's a good book, but I only have the one issue.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's up to now, but he kept going with it. So
I forgot. Yeah, I don't remember, and I have all of them. I don't remember what number. I think he's. If I could be wrong. I think he's currently. Well, he's the writer, so I think his part is done. But I think the last one maybe is getting drawn now.
Okay, cool.
So I think he's wrapping up the series. I think. But then he's got a couple other, he's working on a few other things. He's got 3 Protectors, which is it's like a sci-fi kung fu thing. It's pretty cool. He showed me a work in progress of it. But it's kind of like I'm not doing this justice, but it's kind of like there's a battle planet where all the best martial artists from all over the galaxy are gathered to fight it out. It's kind of a fun, crazy, over the top thing. So and then he's got another thing he's been chipping away at. He's a busy guy writing. So yeah, they'll both be there. They generously allowed me a little nook. I hadn't planned on going, but they were like, it wouldn't be the same without you. You got to be there. So just one day, we'll see how it goes. I haven't promoted at all. I might not sell anything, but it'll be just to go. And
are you going to be? Which days are you going to be there?
Saturday.
Just Saturday. Okay. Yeah, I'll be there the whole weekend. But yeah, I'm trying to see if anyone. I don't know what I wanted to take my girlfriend to Valley Bar because it opened. Have you ever been there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think I thought it closed over COVID, and I didn't know if it was going to open back up. But so
I think it's reopened.
I checked and it's open. Yeah. for anyone who's not unfamiliar, it's sort of like a speakeasy type thing. You got to go in through this really dingy, kind of scary, dark.
Yeah, you got to like an alley.
Yeah, you got to go in through this back alley, but it's this cool little bar in there. So
yeah,
we'll do that. But I'm thinking maybe we can do that. Her and I can do that on Friday, and then I don't know what anyone's doing. Like if anyone's getting together, I'll talk to the Gold Key guys and see if anyone's hanging out afterwards or doing anything. But that might be fun because I haven't had a chance to reinstate the drink and draw or anything like that.
That's right.
So, but I will. I'm still planning on doing it just with the convention and everything and free comic. I haven't had a chance to do that.
We should do that. I think I don't know like specifics yet, but there was talk of since Keith and Scott, they're going to be here. We were going to do maybe a Kenobi viewing at my house Saturday.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I think Kenobi comes out that Friday, like the Friday before.
Oh, does it? That's cool.
Yeah. So might do a little screening, and they had said something about recording a podcast, one of their Making Comics podcasts while they were here. Like it would just be.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out. So, and this is the Kadoja guy.
Yeah.
Does it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check.
So
that
it's
out.
Scott, and the whole pitch is like making comics from two different perspectives because Keith is writer,
Right.
and Scott is he's primarily an artist. He does a little bit of story concept stuff for the comic he works on, but like so it's usually like them talking about like the different sides of it. And it's a fun podcast to listen to. They answer questions once.
Yeah, because I need to find new podcasts because my girlfriend lives 45 minutes to 50 minutes away.
Yeah.
And a lot of the podcasts that I used to listen to are either just pod faded or just not updating. It's like, so I need some new stuff. So
yeah,
there was an old podcast called Making Comics. I assume it's not the same thing. How long?
I think there might be another one. You'll know this one if you search for it. The image, it's a white background with just like Making Comics in like a kind of a big blocky font. Like it's kind of hard. That's the one you want. But
yeah, let me see because I thought I was subscribed to one. Let me see if it's still on here.
I'm gonna have. I've already told them like I would like to have them on this show at some point in the future. But I've always thought like, oh, they should go on Artcasters, like and I don't know when it would be like.
Yeah, well, and I'll probably that's one of the other things I plan on doing when I get over there. I just start meeting people and invite people on the show.
Yeah, no, I think they would be great because they're just an interesting pair, and like they're both real interesting guys with interesting backgrounds. And Keith is doing a lot of writing. He's working on a novel. He's got some kind of hip hop background that like I haven't asked him a lot about, but it's sort of interesting. Scott used to be a professional wrestler and he retired from it and started just doing comics. Like it's just, they're interesting guys. They have interesting stories. So
search for it.
I'll pull up so you can see what it looks like.
Yeah, there's one that is it. So it's basically Keith Foster, right?
Yeah, Keith Foster and Scott Lost.
All right, cool.
It's this,
yeah, there's a few different ones. I think there's a few.
Let's see. I don't know.
Let me.
Yeah, you've been on their show before. I remember subscribing to them.
I've that's not showing up really well, but yeah, I've been on a few times, so it's it's always fun. They always part of the thing is they always have a beer while they're doing it. Usually the show opens with like a "What are you drinking?" kind of thing. So
yeah, I'll check that out.
Let's see here. Prohibition era. Valley Bar is not, but it's like down an alley. There's minimal signage, and I think you go down like a flight of stairs. It's mostly underground. It's a bunch of rooms like underground. It's cool. Paul, how's it going, man? Let's see here. There's a podcast called Make Comics, Not Excuses. Has nothing to do with me. I barely found out about it.
Oh, really? Huh. They stole your thing, Frank.
Right?
Yeah, Frank, they owe you a nickel every time they say that. Okay, back to setting up my page. I am, as usual, while I'm not going to show this, I'm gathering my reference images. I'm very excited because I don't think I've talked about this too much publicly. I know I've talked about it with you too, guys, privately. The main character in this is wearing a very vintage 70s plaid coat.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nightmare to draw. I'm fine drawing it because I think it adds a lot of visual interest to every panel, but it's very time consuming. And I am closing in. At one point in the story, she ends up taking it off. And I'm dying to get there. Like, I'm so looking forward to, like, oh, good, we're finally losing this. I don't have to draw this jacket ever again. So I'm on page 14. She takes off her jacket on page 20. So I have 6 more weeks of drawing this jacket, and then I'm good. Of course, then there's another nightmare thing I'm gonna have to start drawing at that point, but at least I'll be done drawing the.
I had the opposite thing in my book. I needed one of the characters was just basically like a night dress, but I needed her to be able to hold something to have pockets, so I had to have her put a jacket on. It's like, okay, well, that solves that problem.
Yeah. And I also there's going to be I'm closer to. There's going to be a scene change in about 3 pages. And I'm dying for that too, because I'm just to change it up. Like, I wouldn't say I'm tired of drawing the room they're in, but I've been drawing it for weeks now, and it's, it'll be nice, like, to get some new scenery to draw. Chase, I'm the same. I like adding decorative detail in the clothing because it adds, especially what you're doing, Chase. Yeah, the clothing is a big part of that. All the little details, because it adds to the characters I'm drawing, conveys a personality. Yeah. I have no regrets. Like, actually, I'm very happy with the sort of the outfit that this main character has. It's very period. I think it's fun to look at, and but it's pain to draw. But it's only going to get worse. What's that?
Got a little preview page.
No, I can't. So, like, I would say consult my Instagram. You'll see glimpses of the code. You'll see, like, it's on my Instagram. But it's but yeah, as soon as she loses her jacket, that's when you're going to start seeing other things that. I mean, this isn't a big spoiler. The comic is Dinosaurs versus Mars Bots, but there'll be a dinosaur heavily featured, and that's the dinosaurs in '97 were some of the hardest things to draw. That was really tough. So that will be there, and then I've got some soldiers here and there. And anytime you're doing military equipment like rifles and uniforms and stuff like that, that becomes a bear. So there are very few easy pages in this one. I'm looking at my list right now. A few, but very few. Almost every page has some challenge to it. But that's probably good, I guess. I don't know. We're going to say it's good. So, Scott, do you have an ETA for the last Young and the Dead?
The last Young and the Dead. Well, I'm hoping that I think as far as getting it done, or if we're starting on it, because I mean, other than writing it, I haven't started the art.
Well, okay. First, like, when's the next issue out, and then when you sort of project, like, maybe you'd be done with the whole series.
I was hoping to run the Kickstarter next month, but
awesome!
It's possible or likely that I may get selected for jury duty.
Oh,
In
wow.
case that maybe they say 5 days.
For
So
where?
what?
For where?
I guess downtown. It's downtown where.
Well, for what it's worth, it might help you that you know someone who works at the county attorney's office.
Okay, well, because and I've done it before, and I'm all about civic duty and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So the problem is, I'm a sole owner of this company. I've got clients, but it's not the same as an employer.
Right.
Where so it's like either I go to jury duty and then I go home and I work all night, or I don't know. The other thing is the client. I don't know. I know it's sometimes if you work for government agency, the client I'm working for right now. I mean, I don't. They're not my employer. They're my client, but it's Department of Health and Human Services, which is a government agency. So
yeah,
I don't know if that.
I don't know, but I know they will for sure ask you, like, do you know anybody who and they'll list like different things. And if the Maricopa County Attorney's Office comes up, like now,
yeah, I'll definitely because I won't be. I won't lie. So,
like I've never talked about. We'll rarely have talked about cases with you.
Right,
so like you won't be able to say, like, oh yeah, I even know what this one is. That would be an instant disqualification. But it might be enough where just say, like I know an employee there and I just would believe everything. I trust him implicitly and I can't be unbiased because Gary Hodges is the most credible fellow I've ever met in my life. That would probably get you excused.
Yeah.
Or, say that, like here. Frank had a good.
But even with that, I mean, because I found out about that like a week ago, and then I just kind of decided, well, I probably should do it in July, and that'll give me time to get some of these other commissions done for the variant covers and everything. We'll definitely have Corey do one. Honestly, if you can square things away and if you have time, no pressure, but I would definitely like to have you do one. I think I got a couple slots because I want to do one of each.
Yeah.
I want to do one of each issue. So I'm going to have, I talked to Eric Henson, the artist who's working on this project with me is brilliant. If she has time, I might have her do one. Josh already did artwork a while back that I'm going to put for one of them. So yeah, so we'll have to see, but
let me know. I'd be interested to at least try and figure it out. Yeah.
Sorry, Squatch. I picture him with smoke coming out of his ears right now.
I know. Yeah, he's.
Just let me know when you're gonna do the Kickstarter, so we can have you on the show to promote it.
Oh yeah, and that's the one thing I am going to be doing, Ronnie. And I would have reached out to you regardless if you asking me to, because I'm planning on going on as many shows or wherever I can.
Yes, that's so. Ronnie, you should pitch your. Promote your upcoming anniversary special.
Oh yeah, next week is our 2nd anniversary, and these two guys and some other artists are coming on to talk about a whole episode of John Carpenter's The Thing.
There we go.
And I came up with a list of talking about, like, who do you think Patient Zero was? What was your favorite character development, favorite kill, favorite monster design? I mean, you could talk a whole episode about this.
The Thing is one of the greatest movies of all time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I have to refrain from just starting to talk about it now. So
I know. Let's
save that for
throwing some of those questions out there. I wanted to start blurting answers.
But anyone who is watching the show right now or in the recording, Comics Della Morte, we bring on people like Gary Scott, who makes horror comics just like I do, and let them talk about their work. And then me and my co-host, Jason Alexander, we review horror comics, talk about the writing, the artwork, then rate it from like a 1 to 10. And these guys, both of their work are great. And once in a while, or lately, we've been busy to not really review a lot of comics. We just find ways to talk about different horror topics, like, the process of creating a jump scare in a comic, or just anything in general that has to relate to horror.
It's a fun show.
Yeah.
Fun show to watch. A fun show to be on.
Oh yeah, for sure. This guy right here, he's Gary, wait. Gary, he's
Yeah.
probably been on 6 times.
I probably have. I
Yeah,
don't even know how many times.
he's got his golden jacket already.
I do. I'm the Don Rickles of Crimson Owl.
Right.
Oh, and then Jason was on Artcasters the other day promoting this, but chase down Jason Alexander's Ransom Notes. It's fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Congratulations to him again of finishing his first big written and drawn project. What is this? Squatch, he's not happy. Not happy about this cover talk.
It's just going to be one extra piece of Gary Hodges' art. I don't know if maybe Squatch is just exclusive DVSM and not Gary Hodges. Anything he does.
Yeah, I think it might be. I don't know if he's a fan of just my work in general. I think he's a fan of D versus M. Okay. So yeah, that might not be a consolation. Boy. I am not waking up today.
I got up at 5. I might have to take a nap or something. I did a garage sale for like 2 hours, and I basically sold pretty much the big items that I needed to sell, and I'm like, okay, I made some room. I got rid of some of these big items, and I'm not going to stay out here in the sun all day. So it was like a 2-hour sale, and then I just closed it up.
This has nothing to do with anything, but it appears the neighbors might be moving at my place, and boy, I'm delighted. They're weirdos. I hope that's what it is. I'm not getting my hopes up.
Oh, those neighbors. Yeah.
I got up this morning and saw the U-Haul and was like, oh, could it be? Could it be? We'll see. I don't know.
We don't like that Gary Hodges. We're Christian people. He talks about UFOs and everything.
Like all that stuff. Yeah, no, I don't know. I shouldn't get into stories, but like they're just those kinds of neighbors where you're like, if they move, that'd be fine. That'd be okay. And Frank, you're not moving it, Frank. That's no. I'm just nixing that right now. Squatch, didn't we talk about banning? Didn't we talk about potentially getting you banned? Well, I think. Oh, wait a minute. No. This is all wrong. Okay. Speed that up. And now it's right. I'm trying to think if there are any other notable changes in the reprint that diehards like Squatch might want to know. I can tell you a simple. I'll probably walk people through this in the next video anyway once the comics show up, but a simple change I made. Okay, so it was done 1975. I don't know if you can see this. Okay, yes. Do you see there's this like kind of this wash that sort of suggests Earth?
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah.
I removed that. I decided that the styling for 75 and 97 is strictly black, white, red. No other colors. So now it's just, a void on the bottom there. It's little changes like that. Maybe it'll be fun for people to try and pick out all the little tweaks I made. I think I added some code coded messages to 75. There's little things, little changes. Nothing dramatic though. Same art. No art changes. No story dialogue changes. No real new material. There's nothing like that. It's just little tweaks.
Yeah, it'll make my first edition more valuable now.
That's right. Changes. That's right. It's just different enough for collectors to be either excited or outraged. I don't know. I can never tell what the collector thought would be. But. So the next, so you might see Multiverse of Madness this weekend, you said?
I think tonight we'll probably go see it.
I'm eager for a review. I'm curious. Though I've heard good things.
Yeah, I've heard that somehow I have avoided spoilers even on Free Comic Book Day, but one of the things, one of the guys I talked to said, it's either the best Marvel movie I've seen or the worst. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. But.
Yeah, that's kind of sort of intriguing.
Yeah, that definitely made me want to see it.
Yeah, just to see how you fall on it. All right, I think I am ready to start drawing. Much to Squatch's relief. Yeah, Squatch, yeah, first prints will be worth more. I would think first print of D versus M75 especially, because I didn't print a lot. I didn't know, like I've said this in other videos. You know, I thought I was going to sell like 12 copies to family. You know, I just didn't know, like I didn't go crazy with my initial order because I didn't want to be sitting on boxes of unsold comics. So that first run is pretty small. I'd have to go through my records to see how many it is, but it's not a lot.
I'm pretty sure I have the first run.
I think so. I think you did, but.
Maybe even got the coloring book. Does Squatch have that? Is he
Oh no, Squatch, do you have a coloring book? That's another thing that's been sold out for a while. I would like to reprint that someday, but I've talked about this. I think I want to do it on like newsprint. Like I want it more like cheap and floppy, like a real kid's coloring book, where the original isn't like that. But yeah, Squatch has everything. Multiple copies of everything. There was a coloring book. D vs. M started as a coloring book. Actually, that's not true. It started as prints, and then it was a coloring book.
Probably have some of those prints too.
Yeah, that's another thing. Some people have prints out there that probably, because that's something I haven't reprinted prints in forever. Like I got like a lot of us, like I just got burned out on them. Like it's a pain in the ass to store. It's a pain in the ass to order, in my opinion. Like especially, and I did this to myself. So I did 3 rounds of prints, 6 each time. So by the end, I had 18 prints. And you're getting ready to go to a con, and the ordering for that will just break you. Not just financially. Financially, it's not that bad, but just like trying to figure out, like, well, how many do I need of each? And you don't want to run out, but you don't want too many. And it's always hard to predict. Like for me, everyone, of course, is going to buy a T-Rex one if they're going to buy a print. Mm-hmm. But then the rest, you don't know. It always ends up being like someone's favorite dinosaur from childhood. Like it's like, oh, that one, I want that one. But it's so hard to predict. So you're bringing like this very heavy pile of prints to the con. You don't know what's going to sell or not. Some of them don't. Some of them don't sell any. Some you sell out of. And 18. It's too many. It's too many to try and I did it to myself by coming up with 18 prints. Anyway, that's why I steered toward the coloring book, which is just all the print imagery, but black and white with like puzzles and games and all that stuff. I really enjoyed it, but it was a little too nicely printed where nobody wanted to color in it. I kept getting people telling me like, oh, I don't want to color it. I don't want to ruin it. Because I spent, the paper was too nice. So if I ever reprint it, it's going to be just newsprint, floppy, cheap, really inexpensive so people don't screw with it. That would be kind of fun. I'm not going to do this. I don't want to get anybody's hope up, but I like the idea of a D versus M collectible card game.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I've thought about that many times. I've even gone down the path of how would I, what would the cards be? How would it work? What would the basic play be? There's no way I'll have time to ever do that until I maybe finish the whole series, years from now. But I like the idea, or even a board game, like a tabletop kind of board game would be pretty neat. Yeah, see, that's the problem with indie coloring books. That's why I think if I ever print it again, it has to be cheap, cheap, cheap. So people don't feel precious about it. Okay, guys. Well, I think I'm at a point where I can start drawing, and I need to get ready to go get my hair did.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get going too. So,
anyone want to promote things? Anything that Ronnie? I know you mentioned big anniversary show on Thursday.
Yeah, and for anybody who doesn't follow me on Instagram, Crimson Isle Comics, I have right now on top is 3 episodes of A Vengeful Heart, my horror comic that hopefully the way it goes, depending on how my health goes, hopefully it should be done by the end of the year in a physical book before Halloween.
Oh, very cool.
So
I was wondering if you were willing to guess when you'd have the whole thing done as a print thing. So end of year, you're thinking maybe. That's cool. So do you know how many chapters it's going to be? You're working on 4 right now.
Yeah, I there's definitely probably going to be 2 chapters left.
Okay. So we're probably definitely at the halfway point, at least.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay. That's exciting. I didn't realize it was that close to maybe being a physical book.
Yeah.
Be here before you know it.
Yeah, I got about 23 pages done so far.
Yeah. Well, that last one was a big chunk, too. That was a lot longer than the first 2. So.
Yeah.
Scott, what about you? Anything? You're going to be at one? Or Phoenix Fan Fusion?
Phoenix Fan Fusion, I'll be at the Surprise Comics booth, probably off and on throughout that weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Mm-hmm. As well as Gary will be there on Saturday.
I'll be there on Saturday.
That's the Memorial Day weekend, I think.
Yes, and I'll be posting, which, by the way, Squatch, is why I'm not going to lose time drawing by making an appearance at Comic-Con. I get an extra day, 3-day weekend. It's fine. It'll all be fine. It's all going to work out. All part of the master plan. So yeah, I'll post booth information, everything as we get closer. I don't know if I even know it 100% right now anyway, but you'll be inundated in my social media with going to be at Fan Fusion, going to be at this booth. There'll be pictures of me from the booth. Like I said, I'll probably be doing a podcast with the guys that night. That won't come out for like probably a week after, but like there'll be lots of. And so that's another thing. This is still 2 weeks away, but I might as well give a heads up now. There won't be a live stream that day like this because I'll be at Fan Fusion. But I might do like a quick, I don't know, 15-minute live stream from the floor, from the booth or something, just to kind of say hi to everybody, show you what it looks like from my POV. Frank, I need to go to one of these Arizona cons so I can see my favorite artists and Gary.
Frank.
Unbelievable. Just between Squatch and Frank. Why do I do this? Why do I even bother? All right, guys. Well, I'm going to sign off. Thanks for dropping in.
Not a problem.
For doing it. Glad I got the chance to. I wasn't sure that I would, but
yeah, for sure.
And then I guess I'll see both of you on Thursday.
Yeah, see you on Thursday.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Have a good week. Have a good weekend.
See ya.
Bye, guys.